years of strength, will, and desire, building a future for me and you. Let's get inspired and shine the spotlight on the CUSW. Hello, and welcome to the CUSW Spotlight Podcast, brought to you by the Canadian Union of Skilled Workers, established in 1999. CUSW has been empowering its members and shaping the future of skilled trades for over 25 years. In this podcast, we shine a spotlight on the people, stories, and values that make CUSW a strong and dynamic community. It's an exciting time to be part of this union, and we're here to celebrate the journey, achievements, and dedication of skilled workers. So turn up the volume and let's get started. Here's your host for the CUSW Spotlight Podcast, Mr. Dan Plexman.
Hello, everybody. It's time to flick the switch. Let's step out of the shadows and into the light. Let's step into the CUSW Spotlight Podcast. Today, we're going to spark up a conversation with my friend, Owen Johnston. Owen is a man of all trades. He's a guy with a ton of world experience, and I'm really fortunate. We all are very fortunate to have him on as a guest today. Thanks for joining us today, Owen. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us how you joined the CUSW family?
Well, thank you. Thank you for the warm introduction, Dan. I count you as one of my friends too, so I'm happy to be on here. My journey with CUSW started in probably 2010. I met John Wabb very first time in our community at a trades workshop. Well, it wasn't ABO, it was TIBO at the time, so Training and Development, Ontario. So we sat in the council chambers, and first introduction to CUSW. I didn't know anything about unions or didn't know anything on what they were trying to do. And then after working in the high schools from 2010 to 2015, one of the contractors that John knew asked me to come on board with them as an apprentice for their high voltage program. And then work was drying up at that time, so I was put into a health and safety specialist role, and then asked to join CUSW. And it's really funny how it happened because Steve Bell was one who was interviewing me, and I've only worked contract work, and both were presented to me a contract in the union. I was about to sign the contract. He grabbed it from my hands and said, "You don't want that." So that's how I joined the union. So, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Very interesting. You and I, we've had quite a few conversations at different conventions and conferences, team meetings we've had. We have a lot of similarities. We're both are between the 50 and 60-year-old age category, and we're both, I don't want to say fairly new to the CUSW, but we're taking on new roles within the CUSW. Can you tell me a little bit about your role within the CUSW as far as your recruitment lead?
So my role as recruitment lead was offered to me by Nathan Neganye and Cody Kwan. Didn't know exactly what I was getting myself into. I was the drive back and forth from my community to Bruce Power was weighing on me. They presented me with an opportunity to work remotely. I didn't know that working remotely would mean working remotely in Canada, in Ontario, instead of not being at home. So they hired me to go to career fairs, engage some Indigenous communities, and attend workshops that involve nuclear and power generation. So I thought that was quite interesting. I think it was just a natural fit when Nathan and Cody thought about this role to help out Nathan. Yeah, so if there's members that have their children, make sure they apply online, put their resume online. It can all be uploaded through the CUSW website. Any special skills or any certifications that might help move them along in the process would be an addition also, right? So I'm looking forward to this role. I'm a talker, a low talker, I guess you could say, but I'm very personable too, right? So if people are afraid to ask questions, I think I'll be able to answer them if they're afraid, right? So.
Yeah, for sure. You're definitely a smooth talker, that's for sure. But with the recruitment, I remember someone telling me before that, like, I don't know if these numbers are correct, but let's say 50 to 60, 70% of workers in North America, or even in the world, I guess, they follow what their fathers do, what their uncles do. It's like you usually do what you're taught. You usually do what you've experienced growing up in life. So how many carpenters do you know that have carpenters as sons? How many
Yeah.
electricians do you know that have electricians as sons and daughters? That sort of thing. So what you said there about opening the doors to our families, to our sons, our daughters, our
Yeah.
nephews, our relatives, it is where recruitment really starts. It it's kind of my personal belief with safety as well. That's where safety starts. It starts within the home. That's where everything starts. It starts within the home and with
Yeah,
our families.
for sure. Yeah, I think I've met a couple of people in our membership that are dual ticketed, right? So it could be carpenters, could be power line technicians that went to the electrician, the 309A, right? Um, yeah, laborers that have moved up to electricians. So it's definitely a union that I think they see the value in being a membership. That just how we act as a union, I think they see that and they want to be a part of it. So
Yeah.
that's just my observation. I'm not saying that's how it is, but I know that people that were like Hank Baker, who's our unit rep at Bruce Power, our steward. Like I met him when he first started his apprenticeship, and he was in his 40s at the time, right? He's a good role model for somebody who's starting their second career, right? So
Yeah, exactly. What you just described is exactly me. I started off, I worked as a laborer. I've worked as a driver, a warehouseman, equipment operator. Then at the age of 35, I took an electrical apprenticeship. Like I worked for all the sub trades. I worked
yeah,
in the building trades for 20 years almost before I started an electrical apprenticeship.
yeah,
And I worked all across Canada doing these other jobs. And joining
yeah,
CUSW is just another feather in the cap on the construction world in
yeah,
my construction experience.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
and I'm not the only one. There's so many of us who have had so many different lives before entering the trades or joining CUSW.
Yeah. Like for me, I started off in the late 80s, early 90s as a scaffolder, right? Not a carpenter, but a scaffolder. And we did a lot of buildings in Toronto, Sky Dome, bridges, Welland Canal, but it wasn't unionized at the time. So I think early 90s, the Carpenters Union came to our job site and kind of, like what Tom says, trying to bust what we are doing and ask the people to join the union, right? Which at hindsight, again, wasn't my path. But yeah, I wish I would have joined at the time, but I wouldn't have been here if I did. I would have been still scaffolding in Toronto, right? So
Yeah, exactly. That old
yeah,
saying, hindsight is 2020.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. In the
definitely.
safety culture back then, there was no safety culture. It was just if you see the MOL or white hard hat down on the ground, make sure you have your stuff on. I don't remember having a safety harness. I remember having a gut belt that just held my hammer, was never attached to anything, right? So it just how things have changed over the years. Yeah.
It's true. It's true. Just in my experience being a construction worker, how things have changed since I went on my first job site when I was about 16, 17 years old to now 35 years later, whatever it was. It's phenomenal how things have
Yeah.
changed.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the better, that's for sure. For the better. Like
Yes.
I remember as a young man being 16 years old working on the pipeline with my dad. And I remember we were on a crane truck, a picker truck, and the load had shifted. And long story short, my dad is telling me to operate a chainsaw hanging off the side of a trailer, sawing off a hunk of dunnage that was sticking off the side of the trailer. And
Yeah.
it was totally unsafe. I would never tell anybody to do that. And my dad was the one telling me to do this. And
Yeah.
that's just how things were back then. And
Yeah.
my dad was born in 1938. Back then, there was no such thing as real safety rules. And growing up on a farm, he had that mentality of just get the job done. It was all good intentions. But at the same time, it taught me some really bad not work ethic, but work practices. And I'm really glad to be part of the CUSW movement to recognize these unsafe work practices and just the better way of doing things.
I think that's what I portrayed in my role as safety specialist, right? As my role is not to be the guy that hides behind the column and writes you up. It's more if I see something and I don't say something, you don't go home to your family, right? And that's not the role of a safety person. The safety person is to be there involved, a support and resource, right? And that's all I told the guys. I just want to make sure you go home the way you came in, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what a lot of us don't even realize. Like we go to work so we can go home and provide for our families. Like that's why we go to work every day is for our families. If we can't go back home at the end of the day, what's the point in going to work?
That's right.
Yeah. So I think we're doing a really good job here, Owen. Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
And what would be your brightest light, your shining moment that you're most proud of with your involvement with the CUSW?
Um, CUSW is really into saying what they mean. So when they talk about Indigenous involvement and participation, they don't just talk, right? They walk it. They're involved in multiple communities. They're involved in multiple initiatives to bring awareness to apprenticeships and opportunities in the sectors that we deal in. My brightest moment is being able to share my culture with the membership, right? In a large way, but also intimately with my workers that we had at 𝗲𝗶𝗀𝗵𝗀, right? So I have a different approach than most people. I joke about my culture. We are a culture that likes to laugh and joke. So when I do that, it breaks down the barriers and makes it a safe place for people to talk. So when you do that, people are able to ask questions and without retribution. So um, in saying that, they've never ever crossed the line when we're joking about things, right? So they know that. I think that's a respect we built together. But again, to go on to our greatest one was I had a sweat with about four members from CUSW. These gentlemen prepared for about a year. Still didn't know what they're getting involved when we did the sweat in the spring, but the was really neat is that we had an opportunity to tear down last year's lodge and build a new lodge and all the teachings that came with that. Um, these gentlemen are forever grateful for that. And for me, it was just like you said, it was a shining moment with CUSW. In the spring, I've reached out to my teacher, 𝗲𝗽𝗶𝘀𝗀, who is a CUSW member also, and he's working with Montgomery right now. But I've asked him if I could put an invitation out to some members that are interested in attending a sweat lodge ceremony and an introduction to our culture, right? If anybody's interested, they can reach out to the contact information on the website here or on the podcast. But things that I just asked, you have to come with an open heart and open mind. You have to be relatively clean, no drugs or alcohol within the last 2 weeks or so or week before we do this. It's just because what we're bringing into the sweat lodge, into the ceremony, has a tendency to affect the rest of the people that are inside, right? So that's just my asks. And we can go over the more logistics and details if people are interested. I think it'd be about a good 5 hours inside a sweat lodge. So
Wow.
it is pretty taxing, yeah. So
Wow.
we do have breaks in between, like we do open up the doors and and let the spirits in and out and a little break for us too. So yeah, if you're interested in trying this out, it's open to you to join us. So
Well, sign me up if there's room. Definitely.
yeah,
I'd
we
love
will.
I'd love the opportunity.
Yeah.
Um, Considering your Indigenous culture, we had a great experience just a few months ago in Ottawa together. You and I were both attending the Aboriginal Apprenticeship Board of Ontario conference, and they've recently redesignated their name. ISEAD is the acronym. And we had a great time at that conference. Val Vanderwyck and Danny Deliri, they really shed a light, for me especially, on the Indigenous culture. And Danny's presentation on multicultural awareness, it blew my mind. I really did.
Yeah, it was really I've taken it before, but I mean this time it was in an intimate setting again, right? And people he just didn't have enough time to complete it, even though we had a full day. There was still so much information to cover. So
Yeah, it's true. It's true. The experience we've had with being smudged, a lot of people at these events, they've never experienced being smudged. They don't even understand the process. Maybe you can tell the viewers a little bit more about smudging.
yeah, sure. Like Dan does it in a really good way, right? Beginning of meetings to open the meetings with good intentions, to cleanse yourself, to cleanse your mind and your body, to let go of those things that are blocking you from participating in a meeting. At the same way, at the end, the same cleansing, if you want, for your journey on the way home, right? To leave all those thoughts and prayers here, but also that when you send your prayers through smudging, that it'll give you a good travel home. And that's basically all it is, really. And when we smudge those prayers that you give, the smoke rises and goes directly to the Creator. So that's our belief, right? So
Yeah, it is a really cool experience, I gotta say. It is.
yeah,
And so I noticed some of the people in the audience, when they're first experience smudging, I see some of them, they don't really understand the purpose. They're a little not off put, but they can't grasp it or get their heads around it.
Yeah.
And then once
Yeah.
it's explained and how things are explained makes such a difference.
Yeah.
And once you realize what's going on, you want to be part of
It's
it.
Yeah, it's all about good intentions, right? I mean, you want to be in a good space when you participate in these things because we're asking for membership participation and you want it to be truthful and honest, right? So,
Yeah, exactly. Actually, one of the things I noticed that you and I noticed during that conference was the connection and the influence that CUSW had on that conference. Um, we really highlighted our family feeling. Some of the conferences that we've been at, one of the speakers actually said CUSW needs to rename our union from the Canadian Union of Skilled Workers to the Canadian Family of Skilled Workers.
yeah,
And
I agree. I
I
agree.
agree. We do have that feeling. We do have our families, our home lives that are the nearest and the dearest to our hearts, obviously. But we do have this work family, and the feelings, the emotions, the work that we do together. It is really a family affair.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the things I really truly like about COSW is that it is a family membership. A lot of people I've met throughout the last 10 years I do call them brothers and sisters because we spent so much time together and they truly do care about you. So they know when you're not at your normal capacity. So they'll reach out and send you a text and is everything okay? If they follow you on social media, they know things are different. So that's true testament of COSW.
Um, where do you see your focus and your future with CSW? Um, where do you see your shining light beaming to?
Um, I think for the initiatives that they have me set up right now, we're doing the North Shore transmission line from Sudbury to Sault Ste. Marie, I believe. So we're trying to engage and participate in some of the workshops and career fairs that they have along that tribal nation. Also, we're heading out west, I think, to the 𝗲𝗄𝗄 Nation. So I know CUSW hasn't put me in this role specifically because of my Indigenous background, and I don't feel that. But I'm it's a journey for myself, right, to see where we can build this membership and build our workforce for the upcoming project. So that's what I think my focus will be on. So
Oh, for sure. It seems a natural position for you with your real world work experience and your age and with your indigenous culture. You do represent a range of workers that make up CUSW, and we really appreciate your involvement, your participation, and you really are a shining light.
oh, thank you, Dan. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Um, if you could spotlight one key message for the viewers, for the audience at home today, in relation to our work lives, our family lives, our home lives, um, what message would you like to give to the audience?
Maybe I'll spotlight two. I think one of them is for our members to remember when they started off as an apprentice, right? They were young, maybe not as well aware of what we're getting into. And I think at that time they probably would have had a mentor. When I first started in 2010, there was lots of mentorship going on, not just handing apprenticeship tool or go get this tool or go get this work package. I think to remember when you started and to help those younger members with their trade, but also instill the importance of our union in it, right? I mean, we are a membership driven union. If you're going to have an issue and don't say anything about it, nothing's going to become resolved, right? So use that platform, use your units to bring your concerns so we can address them. If we can't address them and we don't know about them, nothing's going to get fixed. The other part I'd like to address is take a chance. Um, I could have stayed with Framatome or for my retirement plan, but I'm a firm believer if an opportunity is presented to you to pursue it. It's scary if you're leaving everything that you have behind, right? Your security, consistency. But I'm one to take chances. I think we've discussed this, you and I, Dan, about our path is already predetermined. We just have to make sure that we follow that path. Right now, I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, right? I thought that a year ago, but this being in this recruitment lead position, I think it's where I'm supposed to be. So last year was our 25th anniversary for CUSW, but it was also my 25th anniversary of sobriety. So a lot of coincidences that have aligned with me to take this role and to meet people like yourself. And I mean, I look forward to our journey together for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, we've had some really deep conversations. And one of the things I noticed with our interactions where we don't really see that life isn't about the destination. It really is about the journey. And like you said, our lives are already predetermined. Some people believe that and some don't. But at the same time, if you look at that perspective, it kind of makes you look at things in a different way where it kind of lets you let go of control of your life, because everybody thinks we're in such control of every minute of every hour. We're doing this and we're doing that. Well, really, we're just like pinballs in a pinball machine bouncing around. Like we're just trying to make our way in life. And like I said, it is really about the journey rather than the destination. And
I know you mentioned our age a couple of times, but I think you and I, we were both on the same. We're just as much about learning as other people are looking towards us, right? I mean, we don't see ourselves in that role as leaders or mentors or guidings by any way. Like I get as much knowledge from the people that I'm working with. We don't know it all, so we can't attest to know it all, right? I mean, maybe our experiences are what define us, but I'm a lifelong learner, like I'm sure you are too, right? So.
yeah, exactly. Someone once told me a long time ago, you can measure your intelligence not by how much you know, but by how much you know you don't know.
Yeah.
And I know I don't know a lot. And
Yeah.
there's always so much to learn. And
Yeah.
being like a 50-year-old man myself, and I turned 52 this year actually, it always amazes me talking to the younger kids and younger people how much I learn from them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
And it's funny too, because they're looking at me like I've got 50 years of life experience. My life changed completely when I was burned at the age 35, and I had to kind of rebuild my entire life. And sometimes I don't even realize I've gone through so much. And then you start talking to somebody, it's like, oh, I guess I do have something to share here. I guess I do have something to offer. And I really appreciate CUSW giving me the opportunity to offer what I have, and to even to bring out some of the things I never knew I had within me. Like,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the best
But
part
the
about it.
challenge, right? The challenge they're presenting. So yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if there's one thing I could say, I'd like to thank the CUSW members, specifically the ones I worked with throughout the last 10 years. I mean, I call them family. For them to have faith and confidence that I could continue on with this role. I do miss them. It was a family. I just like to say thank you to those guys and girls who guided me along this journey to where I am now, right? And letting me see their work and what they do on a daily basis. So.
Yeah, well, I'm sure everybody, as far as myself as a representative of CUSW and our work together, I truly appreciate you thanking us and thanking the membership. Everybody does appreciate what you do, Owen. Your participation in the form and function of the union is outstanding and appreciated.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, everybody, I think it's about time to dim the lights on the show today. It's been a great show. And before we say goodbye today, anybody who's interested in contacting Owen, contacting myself, or giving any comments, any suggestions, any ideas for future shows, please refer to the show description, and you can find all our contact information there. And I think that's a wrap for today's show.
Great.
Thanks again, Owen. We appreciate you shining the light on the CUSW Spotlight. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. I'm proud to be a member, and hopefully we can build this into a bigger movement. Thank you.
Thanks for enlightening us, Owen. Yep. Thanks very much.
Yeah. 𝗲𝗶𝗀.
Take care.
Thank you for shining bright in the CUSW Spotlight. Let's get inspired and shine a spotlight on the CUSW.